Why does the body slow down just as the soul begins to wake up? It's a quiet morning, the kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful yet, just unfamiliar. You open your eyes, but something in you still hasn't fully arrived. You sit at the edge of the bed, feet on the floor, but your breath hesitates, as if waiting for permission to start the day.
No alarm, no emails.
No rush, just a strange echo that seems to rise from your bones. What now? What does it mean to live well after 70? And if life isn't about chasing anymore, what is it about? They tell you to age gracefully, but no one tells you how. Not really. No one tells you how to meet the mirror in the morning, without performance, how to pour tea slowly without guilt, how to move your body without trying to fix it. And no one tells you that this might be the most sacred chapter yet, that slowing down is not the end. It's the invitation. In this video, we won't give you answers. We'll give you breath. We'll give you stillness. We'll give you quiet questions that open like a lotus in the dark. So if something in you has been waiting, not for motivation but for permission to move gently, you're in the right place. And if you'd like to walk this path of stillness and soft healing with us, subscribe to Lotus Light Teachings, not to follow a trend, but to follow yourself home. Let's begin. Part 1, the day the mirror changed. Why does the mirror feel heavier after 70? You wake up. The room is quiet, not the peaceful kind of quiet, the kind that echoes with the lives you've already lived. You sit at the edge of your bed, feet on the floor, but your soul, still somewhere between dreams and memory. You shuffle to the bathroom, flick on the light, and there it is. Not just your reflection, but a question looking back at you. Who are you now without the roles? Without the job title, the urgency, the busy calendar? You lean in closer. You see lines, not just wrinkles. Time etched gently into your skin like river marks on stone. And you realize it's not aging that feels heavy. It's not knowing how to be soft in it. When you're young, mornings are momentum. But after 70, mornings are mirrors. They show you what remains when you stop trying to be someone. And they ask softly, will you meet yourself today without rushing past? This is not the end of youth. This is the beginning of something holier, a way of living that doesn't require achievement, only awareness. So we don't fight the morning. We sit inside it, let it unfold like tea leaves in hot water. Because maybe, just maybe, peace comes not from doing more, but from finally learning how to be more. Part 2, the 3 anchors, breath, movement, stillness. Why do we only notice our breath when it's gone? The first anchor is breath. Not the big, forced kind. Not a yoga technique. Just breath, raw, simple, undemanding. You sit by the window, close your eyes, and the world comes home to you through your lungs. Inhale. The world enters. Exhale. You soften your grip on it. The breath doesn't rush, the Buddha once said. Why do you? The second anchor is movement, but not movement for calorie burn or flexibility. This is movement like a willow in the wind. Slow, gentle, listening. You raise your arms not to stretch, but to remember you still can. You rotate your wrists like you're stirring still waters. And your knees, your spine, your neck, they speak to you now. Not in pain, but in poetry. Like old friends saying, thank you for coming back to us. There's no right way, only a present way. The third anchor is stillness. And this one might scare you at first. Because in stillness, there's no distraction. No next thing. No excuse. Just you. A chair. A breeze. A clock ticking not toward death, but toward awareness. You sit, and the silence becomes music. You notice the breath again, the warmth on your skin, the bird outside your window, whistling like a tiny monk. Stillness is not nothing. Stillness is the sanctuary the world forgot. And here, you begin to remember you are not your schedule. You are not your pace. You are not what you used to be. You are here. That's enough. Part 3, food for a lighter body, a clearer mind. Why do we only eat with reverence? When time runs thin, There was a time you ate standing up, in your car, in front of the TV, while replying to emails. But now, your stomach has slowed, your heart has softened, and food no longer fills an emptiness. It speaks to it. This morning you boil oats, add cinnamon, a few berries. You sit at the table alone, and yet you've never felt so accompanied. You lift the spoon to your mouth, and somewhere between taste and texture, a memory stirs. Your mother, your childhood kitchen, the morning sun hitting a chipped porcelain bowl. You chew slowly, not for health, but because this moment feels worth staying in. Why rush through what nourishes you? Food after 70 becomes less about fullness, more about lightness. You learn that heaviness is not just in fried things or sweets. It's in emotional baggage. It's in unconscious chewing. It's in eating to avoid feeling. Now you eat to feel, to return. Warm soup, steamed greens, herbal tea sipped like rain. Each meal is no longer a chore. It's a meditation in devotion. You bow not out of ritual, but because gratitude tastes better when acknowledged. You remember something the Buddha taught his monks. Eat only when hungry, stop when full, and be aware with every bite. So now, you eat less, but feel more. You chew longer, but think less. You bless the bowl. You bless the hands that made it. And somewhere in the silence after your last bite, you feel lighter, not because you ate clean, but because you ate with presence. Part 4, Moving with Grace, a gentle practice for the aging body. Why do we stop dancing? Just when we finally understand the rhythm. At 70, movement becomes a memory, a faint echo of who you once were, and yet, it holds a doorway to who you can still become. Your steps may be slower now, but they are more deliberate. Each one whispers, I am still here. You wake up, not with a jolt, but with the quiet curiosity of someone returning to a body they've grown distant from. The toes flex, the ankles rotate like a millstone creaking into morning. And as you stand, your spine finds the courage to rise, not in defiance, but in devotion. No one applauds, and yet you bow to the morning like it's sacred, because it is. Have you ever watched an old tree sway in the wind? It doesn't resist. It doesn't try to prove it's strong. It simply moves, with grace, with surrender. That's what your practice becomes now. Not a routine, not a workout, but a gentle conversation between body and breath. Wind-face the body is not a machine, it is a garden. Some days your knees will whisper, some days they will shout, but you no longer fight them. You tend to them. You place your palms on your thighs and breathe into them like soil. Thank you for carrying me. Forgive me for when I rushed you. Stay with me. I'll listen now. You inhale and raise your arms slowly, as if lifting the sun. You exhale and fold forward, not to touch your toes, but to touch humility. Every stretch is no longer about reaching farther. It's about remembering deeper. You don't need music. The rhythm is already within you. The breath moves. The shoulders follow. The hips join in. A subtle twist. A gentle sway. You circle your wrists like clouds dancing over mountains. You are not following a fitness routine. You are tracing the path back to your own presence. The Buddha never spoke of muscles, only of awareness. He didn't teach exercise. He taught embodiment. And in the monastery, even walking was meditation. Hail, tu. Breathe. Hail, tu. Notice. Each step was a prayer. Each movement a sermon in silence. So now, your morning becomes a walking meditation. Through the hallway, around the garden, or just from bedroom to kitchen. There is no destination, only arrival. And yes, there will be days when you don't want to move. When the bed feels safer than the world. When gravity feels cruel. When pain sings louder than peace. Those are not failures. Those are invitations. To stay, to sit, to simply breathe. Because even stillness is movement, if you are fully present for it. A story from an old friend. There's a man I knew who turned 80 quietly. No party, no cake, just a sunrise walk through the same path he'd walked for 20 years. That morning, he told me, I used to walk to stay fit. Now I walk to stay free. That sentence never left me, because that's what aging gracefully means. Not clinging to youth, but softening into the truth. So what does a gentle practice look like? It can be 5 minutes of stretching your fingers, 10 minutes swaying your shoulders to music from your past, a slow walk down the garden path, pausing to watch ants carry crumbs like pilgrims, or simply standing still, feeling your feet on the earth like roots, not to hold you down, but to remind you, you belong here, still, soft, sacred. The question is not, can I still move? The question is, can I move without punishing myself? Can I let movement become prayer? Because after 70, movement isn't about becoming stronger. It's about becoming kinder to the body you live in. You don't need to lift weights. You need to lift shame off your shoulders. You don't need to bend farther. You need to bend inward and listen. A final whisper, like a bell at the end of practice. When the movement is done, you place your hands together, thumbs resting at your heart, and you bow, not to the practice, not to the tradition, but to the miracle of still being able to move today. This body may slow, you whisper, but the soul never stops dancing. Part 5, the still room within, creating sacred space for the rest of your life. Why do we clean every room in the house, but leave the soul cluttered? After 70, you begin to notice something strange. It's not the noise that overwhelms you anymore. It's the clutter, the invisible kind, the papers piled up in the mind, the should-have-saids, the never-dids, the regrets that echo in the hallway of memory like footsteps that never found the door. You walk through your home, the photos on the wall, the chair that no one sits in anymore, the ticking clock that sounds louder these days. And suddenly, something inside you whispers, I need a place to rest. Not just my body, but my being. Not sleep, not distraction, but stillness. A room that doesn't demand. A space that doesn't judge. Just one corner of the world that says, you can be exactly as you are, and that's enough. You don't need a meditation app. You don't need a guru. You just need a chair, a window, and a willingness to sit inside your own presence. This still room isn't always a room with walls. Sometimes it's just the moment you finally close your eyes, breathe out, and don't rush to fill the silence. Because maybe silence isn't empty. Maybe it's full of everything you've been too busy to hear. The birds, the breath, the heartbeat that's carried you through every chapter, loved and unloved. There is something deeply holy about building a space that asks nothing of you. No performance, no productivity, not even improvement, just presence. Could be the corner of your bedroom, a stool by the back door, a space between your kitchen and your morning cup of tea. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you claim it, that you say softly, this space is for me to remember who I am beneath everything the world taught me to be. And slowly, without trying, that space will begin to soften you. Like rain softens stone, like time heals without needing applause. You'll begin to place things there. Not objects, but moments, a breath, a poem, a tear that falls without needing explanation. And each time you return, it becomes easier to arrive. There was a woman I once met, Clara, 74 years old. She lost her husband after 43 years of shared mornings. The house felt enormous, empty in the way that only absence can make it. She didn't know how to meditate. She didn't want to. She just needed to not disappear. So she lit a candle, cleared a corner, put a cushion down, and every morning she sat. Sometimes she wept. Sometimes she whispered to the silence like it was him. Sometimes she just breathed. And after months, she told me, I didn't stop missing him, but I stopped leaving myself. That space, small, unassuming, quiet, became her still room. Not a shrine to the past, but a sanctuary for the now. That's what this is. A room where the soul doesn't have to explain itself. Where time slows just enough for you to remember, you are not broken. You are just arriving. You are not done. You are deepening. The still room doesn't fix your life. It holds it. And that is more than enough. So clear a corner, not perfectly, just with care. Let light touch the floor. Let the air be still. Let your presence enter without armor. No mantra needed, no instructions. Just sit, and let the silence show you what love sounds like when it no longer needs words. Because after 70, peace doesn't live in achievement. It lives in return. And in that return, you might discover that the stillest room was never outside of you. It was always there, waiting, quietly, like an old friend who doesn't knock, because they never really left. Part 6, Rituals of Softness, Letting the Day Be Light. Why do we keep rushing when we have nowhere to be? There comes a day, usually after 70, when you pour the tea slower, not because your hands shake, but because something in you doesn't want to spill the sacredness. You move softer, not because you're weak, but because the world has finally taught you how strong gentleness really is. You begin to realize the ritual was never in the incense, never in the robe, never in the temple. The ritual was in the moment you folded your blanket with care, the way you turned the doorknob without slamming it, the way your hands cupped the tea mug like it held not liquid but warmth from lifetimes. This is how you begin to live lightly, not by owning less, but by carrying it all differently. Have you noticed how the light lands on your table at 9 a.m.? It shifts ever so slightly. No announcement, no applause. It just arrives, crawls across the floor, touches the edge of your book, and disappears again. And you realize, maybe God is not in the thunder. Maybe peace doesn't come with fireworks. Maybe this quiet beam of light across old wood was what your soul had been trying to find all along. The tree does not shout when it grows. The Zen masters say, it just grows. So now your life becomes a series of silent rituals. Washing a dish, watering a plant, brushing your hair with both hands like you're blessing yourself. Not chores, but ceremonies. Not duties, but invitations. The world may tell you you're slowing down, but here's the secret they don't know. You're not slowing. You're deepening. You're not forgetting how to live. You're remembering how to live well. You don't need to check off a list today. You need to feel the weight of the cup in your hand, to hear the creak of the floorboard under your heel, to smile when a breeze lifts the curtain like a whispered poem. This is not laziness. This is luxury, the kind that can't be bought, the kind that's earned with time, loss, grief, forgiveness, and finally, surrender. A simple practice for a lighter day. When you wake up tomorrow, try this. Sit before you stand. Let your body arrive before your day does. Fold your blanket slowly, as if you're tucking in your younger self, the one who once rushed through mornings. Touch the floor with bare feet. Whisper, I'm still here, and that is everything. Breathe as you pour your tea. Listen to the steam. Let the heat meet your palms like a teacher returning. Do one thing today, just one, as if it were the only thing that mattered. Could be wiping the table. Could be feeding the birds. Could be opening a letter you've been too afraid to read. But do it with presence. Do it with kindness. Do it as if your life depends on it. Because, in truth, the quality of your life always has. A story from the garden. There was a man who tended a bonsai tree for 20 years. Not to shape it into perfection. Not to display it. He simply watered it. Trimmed it when needed. Sat beside it every morning. When asked why, he said, I don't prune the tree. Prunes me. Each morning, I forget the noise of the world and remember how to be small again. That's what rituals of softness do. They return you to the right size. Not big, not small, just true. You are not wasting time by slowing down. You are saving your soul from the wreckage of speed. You are allowing space for awe to find you again. In the butter melting on toast, in the steam rising from the bowl, in the silence after the last page of a book. This is your life now, not in the past, not in the future, but in this next act of gentleness. So move slow, touch light, speak softer. Let the day unfold like a flower blooming without anyone watching. Because it is in this softness that your body heals, your mind clears, and your spirit finally exhales. A whisper to end the day lightly. You don't have to do more. You don't have to be more. You are already the morning temple, the afternoon prayer, the evening bell. So ask yourself, as the sun lowers, what if lightness isn't something I chase, but something I return to? And maybe, just maybe, the rituals you thought were small were the whole path home all along. Part 7. Evening Grace. Preparing the mind for rest and return. Why does night feel longer? When your mind won't let go. You've made it through the day. The sun has bowed out quietly, leaving behind its golden trace on the horizon like a soft goodbye. The sky hums now in deeper shades of blue, and something in you leans into that silence. Not just the silence outside, but the stillness that's been waiting for you all day, behind your eyes, beneath your breath. You want to rest. You say it out loud, but the body doesn't always believe you. It still carries the little weights, not the physical kind, but the invisible kind. A phrase you didn't say, a mistake you made 10 years ago that resurfaced with the smell of tonight's dinner. The strange loneliness that sometimes arrives even when the house isn't empty. You close your eyes, but the mind keeps its lights on. Thoughts pacing the hallway, worries whispering, and somehow, even after all these years, even after all this wisdom, rest still feels like a negotiation. That's why night isn't just the end of the day. It's a practice, a letting go, a slow and sacred return. You begin with something small, a gesture, a shift in how you move. Light a candle, not because you're religious, not for ritual, but because it marks the transition from doing to simply being, from holding to placing things down. Dim the lights in the room. Let the darkness have space again. Pour warm water into a small bowl. Wash your hands slowly, as if you're rinsing not just the day, but all the ways it clung to you. Not just dirt, but the noise, the rush, the performance. Wipe your face gently. Feel the towel like a kindness. Put on something soft, something that doesn't remind you of the world outside. Let it wrap you in the wordless message. You've done enough for today. And then you sit. Nothing fancy, no cushion needed. Maybe just the edge of your bed, your feet still touching the earth one last time before sleep. This is your sacred pause, the hush before the world turns inwards. And you ask yourself, not as a question needing an answer, but as a door you quietly open. What can I let go of tonight? What thought can I offer to the dark? What regret can I place down like a stone beside the river and walk on lighter? There's no need to solve anything tonight. The moon doesn't, simply shows up, and then lets go again. Maybe that's your task too. Your breath softens. Your shoulders begin to forgive gravity. You whisper to your own heart, perhaps without words, something that sounds like, "Thank you. I did my best. I don't need to carry this any further." And in that moment, you're no longer trying to fall asleep. You're allowing yourself to return, because sleep isn't something we force. It's something we trust. You lie down, and you imagine not a bed but a little boat, floating gently on the quiet lake of night. No paddles, no rush, no need to get anywhere. The breath is the wind. The body is the vessel. The soul is the open sky. And yes, some thoughts will still pass through. They always do. But now they feel less like burdens, more like birds overhead, just passing by, not here to stay. You close your eyes. The body softens. You let the pillow hold your head the way a mountain holds snow. And before sleep takes you, you ask, not with fear, but with reverence, what if peace doesn't come from what I finish, but from what I'm willing to release? What if rest isn't the absence of thought, but the presence of gentleness? What if this breath is enough? And it is, because in this quiet, after all the years of striving, giving, working, losing, healing, you've arrived in the one place that has waited for you all along. Stillness. And maybe the deepest grace of aging is not what we leave behind, but what we finally stop carrying. Sleep well. You are safe. You are held. You are already home. You've met your breath. You've moved with grace. You've sipped tea like it was a prayer. You've stepped softly inside the still room of your own soul. And now the day closes its eyes. But before you go, don't rush. Let this moment linger like incense in the air after the flame has gone. Because maybe the gift of this life is not in what we conquer, but in what we learn to bless. Aging is not a loss. It is a soft unveiling, a return to simplicity, a deeper kind of strength that no longer needs noise to feel real. So I won't ask you to subscribe, but I will ask you this. What if your breath was always your teacher? What if slowing down is how we catch up to who we truly are? And maybe you don't need more answers, just better questions and kinder rituals. So tell me, what kind of light are you learning to carry now? I'll meet you there, in the quiet, in the breath, in the next morning. Until then, sleep softly, wake slowly, and may every step from here on be made of grace,